This video is giving you the quick release, the quick fix for false sciatica symptoms. That's coming up. I'm showing you how to release Gluteus Minimus, the sciatica imitator. And I'm also showing you how to release its best friend that lives right next door, TFL. Those two muscles are right next to each other. They go together. They have a strong pull on the pelvis. They tend to pull the pelvis down while pushing the other side of the pelvis up. So contributing to that hip height inequality or that unlevel hips that is contributing to your symptoms. Whether or not you have true or false sciatica, you must do this practice. If you have false sciatica and this is the muscle that's causing your symptoms, this will give you the quick fix. Now, this practice is what I did at the very beginning of my sciatica healing journey when I was truly healing. This is the muscle that if you release it over and over again, it will significantly reduce or obliterate your symptoms. However, it's also not the end of the story. Remember, you're going to have to treat the opposite muscle groups. Here's a hint: inner thighs, key players. You're going to have to release those inner thigh muscles, the opposite muscle groups, and some other places for lasting relief. But this video is you're going to get ball in there and go, oh my God, that's what I've been waiting for. It's so intense and relieving at the same time. And you're going to feel that's important. That is key to my symptoms. I'm so grateful to have this information, and you're going to do it a little bit every day. And then you're going to go back and you're also going to add in this other video on releasing the inner thighs. And then ultimately you'll do that video first. This is the one that's going to quick fix, get you out of pain. So let's get started. TFL and glute min. This quick fix is for releasing TFL and glute min on the floor. And start with the soft ball. Always start with that soft blue ball, the logo ball, so that you are not driving in to the most tender places in your body too quickly. So TFL, glute min, they're all on the side of the pelvis and to the front of the pelvis. So we're going to take that soft ball, come down on the floor so you're sitting a little bit off to the side, and slide it in. Notice I didn't lift up and put it here. I don't want it under the side of my thigh. I want it on the side of the pelvis, right? And then from there, you can lay down on the ball. Now, we started with the soft ball so that we could just explore and sink in. If I take this top knee and I drop it down onto the bottom knee, now I've got that much more pressure. If I need less pressure, I'm going to take it off with that top knee, taking that off. So starting in this position with the knee lifted so that there's the least amount of pressure. Then you can kind of play and explore. When you're ready, put that top knee down. Now there's more pressure. You can kind of sink your body into the ball. For many of you in the beginning, that's going to be plenty. That's going to be so much pressure, you'll be plenty. So where you are, straight up and down with the hips stacked, you're in gluteus minimus. When you want to go to TFL, we're going to take that top leg forward. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But just kind of letting the ball sink in, just getting used to this idea. If after a few moments and you're letting the ball sink in, it's not enough pressure, then you can switch to the larger myofoam ball, or I'm going to switch to the smaller ball. So I'm going to put the smaller ball right there. Now, make sure you start with that knee lifted, because boy, is that going to be a lot more excitement, a lot more sensation than that soft ball. So you might just stay with that knee lifted. When you're ready, you can stack them, right? So now we're in the side of the hip, right in gluteus minimus. And you can kind of sink. If you lift these ribs up and away, see how that lifts my pelvis off the ball? That's a way that you can easily shift pressure. Like, oh, take those top ribs up and away. When you want more pressure, now you can take those bottom ribs down toward the floor, and that's going to help you sink into the ball right there, gluteus minimus. So now ways to work with that.
drawing your body up, like putting that elbow down on the floor and then like using that elbow to pull your body up. That's going to drive that ball right into the top of the femur, trapping that littlest segment of gluteus minimus right into the top of the femur. So just take a couple breaths here. Right. And then we want to take some pressure out, lift those top ribs, maybe lift that knee, slide the body down so the ball just goes a little further up along the side of the pelvis, keeping the knees basically, the hips, basically stacked. Now I'm just higher up along that side of the hip and I sink down into it. And then you could take that top hip forward a little and back a little, and you can play with just like that movement right there, forward a little and back a little, finding very exquisite tender spot, sink in gluteus minimus. Now we're going to explore a little bit to the back part of gluteus minimus. So lift the ribs, lift that top knee, start rolling a little bit toward your back, and then scoot your pelvis forward. I'm going to show that again. We start stacked, lift that top knee up, lean back, scoot the pelvis forward. Now you're at the back of gluteus minimus. Oh, and it's exciting. There's a lot of tension going on in there. Yes. Yes, indeed there is. So taking a couple of breaths there. And again, you want to check jaw. Relax your eyes. Notice, do you want to wiggle a little bit? That's totally fine. Breathing, always breathing in the belly. Ah, so good, right? Okay, now we're going to shift. We're going to come back to the center. And then we're going to go into TFL. So for TFL, we take that front leg and we slide it back. And then we take the top knee and the foot and cross it over. And now we're going to begin, because TFL is toward the front of the pelvis, so we have to start dropping that top hip forward. Ah, and there it is. Notice I didn't go all the way forward. If I go all the way forward, I'm not going to get it. I have to go about halfway. So from hips being stacked to top hip dropping, if you keep this bottom knee bent a little bit, it keeps that tissue a little softer and allows the ball to sink in. As soon as you straighten that leg, you might actually tense that tissue so much that it pops the ball out. So bottom knee stays bent, top leg and knee come forward. Drop that knee toward the floor. I can just touch the floor, and then I'm really in a very tender spot at the front of my pelvis, tensor fascia lata. Great, and then we're going to move off by rolling that top hip back. And then we're going to do the other side. So now for the second side, try a different ball. Play with the different balls until you find. And sometimes what you'll find is that if you've just ridden your bike or gone on a long hike or ridden your horse, done your work, your joy, your fun stuff that causes an aggravation of your symptoms, what you'll find is that sometimes you'll just need to go right back to that softer ball. Like, oh, okay, everything's excited today. So give yourself permission that once you use the small, hard ball, that sometimes you don't use that ball, right? Because it's not like you always just continue. It's that the tension's going to come and go. The tension's going to come and go. All right, so this side, I'm going to lay down on my side. I'm going to slide that large myofoam ball underneath the side of the hip. And for me, that lifts my pelvis all the way up off of the floor even. So good. And this gets a little bit of a bigger area. This actually makes for a faster, quick fix if you're just using this big ball. going right through the top of the iliotibial band to get to that gluteus minimus underneath. So we're going to put that elbow down, slide the body up until we're trapping gluteus minimus against the greater trochanter. Ah, so exciting. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we're going to slide up. There's not as much space to move with the bigger ball, you'll notice, right? So if you want to go ahead and slide the smaller ball in, or if this ball is too firm and you need the softer ball, notice I'm not putting this knee down because I don't need quite that much pressure, right? How could I take pressure out? I could lift those top ribs. I could take that top knee off, okay? And then we're going to move to the back of gluteus minimus. Now we've covered that front side, that very directly under the iliotibial band. So to do that, we move back, we roll back toward our back, and then scoot the hip forward a little bit, right? Slide that hip forward. Now the ball's gone to behind the iliotibial band area on the side of the hip to get in that back part of gluteus minimus. Oh, it's so good. And you could do a little up and down. So good. You're going to find a lot of tenderness here. It's okay. That's why we're here, right? We're going to get rid of some of that tenderness and get you out of pain. One more breath here. Now to go into TFL. You scoot back, stack the hips, slide the bottom leg back a little, take the top leg over, and then roll toward the front. Now for me, this big ball is a little bit too big for me to get into my TFL. So I'm going to move off, get that smaller myofoam, slide it in there, drop my ribs so I get a little bit deeper pressure. Top knee crosses over, roll toward the front of the body, but not all the way, right? Toward the front of the body. There it is. And a couple breaths here. You're right at the crease of the side of the hip. So good. All right. Now we need to do a little quick stretch. So we're going to do a little bit of what I call the flip-flop, where you stretch your legs out and flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop. Side to side. Great. Then we're going to do a TFL stretch. So we're going to come to here. This TFL on the right side is getting stretched because it's a hip flexor, so I'm in big hip extension. And then to get to the other side, we're just going to flip around. Go into that other side, stretching that TFL. And then to stretch the glutes, we're just going to lay right on the back, knees bent, feet on the floor, and do a little windshield wipers side to side. And dropping that down, dropping the knees side to side. Stretching glutes on this side, then stretching glutes on that side. Great, and that's it. So that's our quick fix for TFL and gluteus minimus.